Part 49. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. John Word. Chapter 481. Chapter 481 Lanzhen, you see, I started to slowly take away everything from you. I'm sowing discord. Why am I sowing discord? Don't you like dogs, Lan? No. How can you not like small animals when you are such a kind person? No, you are so gentle and kind, how can you? Maybe I don't like small animals. Sunian, we all know what you mean, why don't you admit it? Even after you said it, Lan Min interrupted sharply. As a vicious female supporting role, she has no so-called advantages other than being thick-skinned. What do I admit? Can you tell me what the word dog licking means? As long as you tell me, it can reflect the insult. Sex means provoking, so I will apologize to you right now. I will apologize in any way you want me to, and I, Sunian, will never say no. These words really made Lan Zhi not know what to say. Lu Jing next to him was so excited that he applauded subconsciously. Lan Zhi looked over subconsciously. Suddenly the atmosphere became very awkward. Lu Jing wants to hit his own hands now. What are they doing so quickly? What else can we do now? You can only smile awkwardly and politely. Since Lu Jing is so cooperative, Sunian can't let go. Why don't you speak? Why don't you accuse me? Some things are indeed well understood. But you cannot speak out about things you know well in your heart. After all, do you want the heroine to explain on the spot what this dog-licking thing means? If Lu Jing or a certain character matches what the heroine said, then it won't be embarrassing. Lan Zhi finally discovered that he couldn't defeat her at all. There are always so many words to say. Sunian suddenly turned around and walked towards Lu Jing, and said in a pitiful tone, Lu Jing, I know that what happened last time caused you trouble. It is also for this reason that I the genius didn't come here. In fact, you may not believe it when I say it. I really envy the friendship between you and Lan Min, but I know very well that I can't get it. I have been paying attention to it these days. I'm really heartbroken to hear about your news that Lan Min has never come at this point. Sunian covered his heart. This look should be as fake as possible. Lu Jing really wanted to say that he helped her pay for the items at the auction and spent a lot of money. Sunian, I didn't expect you to miss me so much. Lu Jing quickly looked touched. This time Lan Min was worried. Immediately stopped in front of the two of them. What do you mean, Lan Min? You left your friend in the hospital once, I took care of you, you told me, I left, and you left your friend in the hospital again, even though Lu Jing is an adult, but have you ever heard that a man is a boy until he dies? You are so unqualified as a friend. If that is the case, then let me be his friend. Sun Ying who was watching the show next to her, let out a hiss. She was thinking, should she remind Sunian now that the saying that a man is a boy until he dies is inappropriate here? I will definitely care about him more than you do, love him more, and give him the warmth of a friend. When she said this, she walked to Lan Min's ear and threatened like all villains, Lan Min, look, come on, I will slowly take away everything from you. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. John Word. Chapter 482. Chapter 482 Lu Jing's smooth sailing. After the threat was over, Sunian raised his head slightly. Unexpectedly, he saw Lu Jing's bright smile. MD, almost broke the defense. Why is this guy smiling at her at this time and ruining her acting rhythm? She had to tell Lu Jing later that she would need to add more money after being held back like this. Sunian, if you approach everyone with a calculating heart, you won't get the true love. The same thing happens again. Not to mention that the heroine's trick was bad, even she snatched Li Baikan away, which proved that her theory of true love is useless. What about you? Do you really regard Lu Jing as a friend, or do you treat Lu Jing as a licking dog? Just like Baikan, their role is just to comfort you when you are sad, and then comfort you. After coaxing you, you go to Huo Linyuan happily. You never thought no matter what they want. Sunian sighed deeply, it doesn't matter if they don't love me. I can be a pure friend, and I may be more reliable than you. When Lan Zhen heard this, he quickly grabbed Lu Jing's clothes. Lu Jing, you must not listen to their nonsense. I didn't treat you as. But why don't you come these days? Lu Jing knew very well that his status in Lanzi was not high, so he just took this opportunity to improve it. Lan Min bit her lip tightly. Sunian's voice sounded out at this time, because you are a licker, you don't deserve it. Sunian felt that she was really tired as a supporting actress. Not only do they have to create trouble for the heroine, but they also help to warm up the relationship between the heroine and the male partner. She is so busy, why doesn't anyone pay her some wages? When Lu Jing heard this, he turned around and left. Lan Min grabbed his clothes tightly. Lu Jing, listen to my explanation, listen to my explanation. Lu Jing, why do you want to listen to her explanation? She can't give up Huo Linyuan and be with you, so no matter how she explains, you are just a licker. Sunian continued to yell. Lu Jing frowned. Although he knew that Sunian was doing this to help him, he always said that he was a dog licker. It's like he is really a licking dog. However, in order to show his refusal, he used all his strength to break away from Kai Lan Min's hand and ran outside in large strides. What else could Lan Min do? He could only chase after him quickly. Ah, it's really touching. Sunian sighed. From this incident, we can see that this guy's mind is really bad. These words made Sunian look at the woman eating oranges next to him. Sun Yinger stuffed a piece of orange into Sunian's mouth. This is his ward, his territory. According to normal logic, Lan Min should not be kicked out. You see, I used to care about you so much, but I'm so determined to drive you away. Doesn't it make him angry or uncomfortable? According to Lan Min's temperament, he will definitely try to coax him, and this is like what a child can do. How could things show how important he is? Sunian thinks it makes sense. But at this moment, her face turned into a big embarrassment. Sister, don't you think the orange in your hand is a bit sour? I think so, Sun Yinger said frankly, otherwise why would I put it in your mouth? Sisters, isn't it about sharing hardships and sharing blessings? How else could we become sisters? Sunian, this made sense, but it left her speechless. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich John Word. Chapter 483. Chapter 483 Is Mr. Lu going to stand up? Lan Min chased for a long time before he caught up with Lu Jing. And stopped in front of Lu Jing. Lu Jing, have you forgotten? When you were sad and depressed, who was by your side? Our friendship for so many years, do you really want to be hurt by what Sunian said? A few words of provocation. Do you have a place for me in your heart? When Lan Min heard this, he thought of Li Baikan. Li Baikan seemed to have asked the same question before, but he left himself. So Lan Zhen said firmly, yes. I do not believe. How can you not believe it? When will I be able to deceive you? Lu Jing, tell me, what do you want from me before you can believe me? Lu Jing looked at her seriously, can you help me get some information about the Huo family? Lan Min, who had prepared a lot of things to say, was stunned. Lan Min looked at Lu Jing in horror, are you crazy? What are you trying to do? Do you want to betray Lin Yuan? Betray Lin Yuan? When Lu Jing heard these words, his face turned bad. This is as if he is Huo Lin Yuan's subordinate. Li Baikan was right. If he wanted to get the woman in front of him, he had to kill the Huo family. Betrayal. Don't forget that I have never been a member of the Huo family. To put it bluntly, if anything happens to the Huo family, if things happen, then I might get more benefits. These words were said so directly that Lan Min was speechless. This seems to be the case. Lan Min, you keep saying that you care about me and that I have a place in your heart, then you prove to me that I have a place in your heart, and are you willing to do so? Are you willing to do so? Are you willing to just watch Huo Linyuan fall in love with other women and watch him grow up with other people? These words made Lan Ren take a few steps back. Stop it, stop it. Okay, this is the opportunity I give you. If you don't want this opportunity, then our relationship will end here. After all, as Sunian said, even if I am licking a dog, then I don't want to lick it anymore. After Lu Jing said this, he wanted to bypass Lan Min and leave. In fact, Lu Jing's heart was beating very fast now. He was afraid that he really left like that. Then he is really a clown. Be sure to hold on, hurry up, hold on quickly. Lu Jing's heart was almost in his throat. Just when he was about to walk 100 meters, Lan Ren suddenly appeared and grabbed him. Lu Jing, are you trying to force me to death? This made Lu Jing subconsciously feel relieved. This immediately made Lu Jing feel that the money he spent on Sunian these days was really worth it. Ha ha ha, this scene feels like the love-hate entanglement between the male and female protagonists in the TV series. Ha ha ha, he, Lu Jing, is about to turn into a male protagonist. I don't want to force you to death, but I want to prove my status in your heart. What do you think of me? Do you really think of me as a licking dog? The kind of licking dog that comes and goes away immediately. Lu Jing deliberately sneered in order to be effective. Lan Min shook his head. No, no. Anyway, this is my condition. If you can't prove it, then our fate ends here. After all, I am the only young master of the Lu family, and I will never be a licker. Author, okay, our young master Lu is about to turn over. After saying that, Lu Jing walked away directly. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Zhang Word. Chapter 484. Chapter 484. Am I so impatient? Lu Jing's red envelope bomb came once again. But this time, he pulled a group together. Invited both Sunian and Sun Ying'er into it. The name of the group is called, Defense of Love. Then he distributed red envelopes like crazy in the group. Sunian Zhen was the first to grab a red envelope and vomited. But at this moment, Sunian felt something was wrong, so he sent Lu Jing a private message. Did you personally send these red envelopes? Who knew the person over there would reply instantly, my aunt is so smart. After I posted it for a while, I felt tired, so I asked my secretary to post it for me. The secretary is responsible for issuing red envelopes. Sunian knows that every assistant or secretary around the president is omnipotent. But, haha, I can only say that the overbearing president is having fun. Sunian looked at the dazzling red envelopes in the group and felt really dizzy. Just threw the phone aside and fell asleep. At midnight, the door to the room was opened quietly. Someone wearing pajamas walked to the bed with ease, then lifted the quilt and lay down in it. Then he naturally put the little woman next to him into his arms. But he soon realized something was wrong. Sunian today is different from Sunian in normal times. Why does Sunian feel so slippery today? He opened the quilt a little and saw that this little woman was only wearing close-fitting clothes today, and nothing else. A few days ago, Li Baikan accidentally discovered that Sunian slept very honestly at night. He basically never woke up in the middle of the night and slept until dawn. I couldn't help but, accidentally, sleep with her in her room for several nights. After all, Sleeping with your wife in your arms is better than sleeping alone. But today's situation really caught Lee Baiken off guard. His big rough hands touched the skin as smooth as silk, and his breathing gradually became heavier. Is this intentional? Have you been discovered? But he felt that she was sleeping very soundly these days. Reason told him that he must let go now, but he failed to obey reason. A slight moan easily made Lee Baiken's breathing quicken. The woman opened her eyes drowsily and looked at him. Such a confused look aroused the man's bad thoughts. He wanted to gradually wake her up, let her beautiful and innocent eyes reflect his own shadow, and slowly become tainted with because of himself. "Don't take my quilt," Sunian frowned and then cursed. Immediately rolled up the quilt and rolled to the other sides. Lee Baiken. Sunian woke up the next morning feeling refreshed. She sat up and stretched a lot. Then wash up and go downstairs to eat. Seeing Lee Baiken's gloomy look, she asked with concern, "What's wrong, Baiken? What's wrong with your face? Did you not sleep well?" Lee Baiken smiled and shook his head. "If you feel uncomfortable, then don't go to work after all. Your body is the most important thing. What should you do if something goes wrong with your body?" "I'm really fine, I just got a little windy when I got up in the morning." Since Lee Baiken said this, Sunian did not continue. But when she saw Lee Baiken like this, some pictures flashed through her mind. Damn it, when did I become such a beast? Lee Baiken is already like this. Why do those bad pictures still appear in my mind? And I dreamed last night that Lee Baiken climbed out of bed, ha ha ha, am I so impatient? Lee Baiken. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 485. Chapter 485, Let Lee Baiken know what it means to come and go. Baiken, why do you look so ugly again? What's wrong with you? After getting rid of all the messy things in his mind, Sunian looked at Lee Baiken. When he saw Lee Baiken's expression getting even worse, he immediately became anxious. Lee Baiken picked up the milk and smiled, "It's nothing." He now feels that what happened at night was really asking for trouble. Just that touch. When he thought of this, Lee Baiken's throat rolled slightly. It's better not to think about it anymore. But there are some things that Lee Baiken cannot control. For example, the thinking of the little woman sitting opposite him. Hey, it would be really good if Lee Baiken really came to climb into my bed, but the probability of such a situation is about the same as that of the sun rising from the west. If Lee Baiken really comes to crawl into bed, then I will definitely not be too polite. He directly rode on him, and then used the overlord to force his bow. Lee Baiken. We must let this guy Lee Baiken know what it means to come and go without coming back. But if I run to his bed now, will he let me roll off? Probably not. What will he say again? Why didn't it work for us in the beginning? Tisk, I seriously doubt that he has a problem in that area. After all, the time in the last life was so short. He has no sense of experience at all, and he still maintains such an arrogant look. If it were not for my mo bow, then how could I stay away from him? Lee Baiken. Lee Baiken really couldn't listen to these anymore, and then he coughed heavily. Sure enough, Sunian's attention was attracted. Are you really okay? It's okay, it's just a discomfort in my throat. But how could Sunian believe it again this time, so he quickly got up and came to Lee Baiken's side. As soon as I reached him, before I could stand still, the man pulled me into his arms. He kissed her lips hard. This time Lee Baiken was cruel. Who let this little woman think so wildly? If he wasn't worried that the child's problems would cause him to fall out of favor, then he would definitely let this woman know how powerful he is. Author, he. If I really feel uncomfortable, will I still kiss you like this? What if I infect you? Sunian nodded in confusion. Hearing no more of Sunian's confused thoughts, Li Baikan picked up Sunian and said, "Okay, we should go to work." But Li Baikan felt that he had found a way to deal with this little woman. Kiss her hard. She couldn't think about it at all. This is a good idea, very good. Just like that, he walked with Sunian in his arms at a fast pace. When he arrived at the company door, he carefully carried her out. Such a scene has been staged almost every day during this period, and the employees of Li's group are somewhat used to it. Of course, I will lament every day how much the president loves the president's wife. This scene also fell on the car parked in front of the Li group. The person sitting in the car is none other than Lan Min. Lan Min really dug his nails into his flesh when he saw this scene. You must know that her relationship with Li Baikan was so good before, but Li Baikan never treated her like this. The key is that Lu Jing's words echoed in her mind. If you don't follow Lu Jing's words, then Lu Jing may leave him just like Li Baikan. No, she would never let such a thing happen. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 486. Chapter 486, Lan Yan, it's hard to be a stepmother, isn't it? Back to the Huo family. Before he stepped through the door, he heard the servant's voice, young master, please slow down. Don't fall. It will hurt a lot if you fall." Suddenly a little boy ran to her feet. Seeing the little boy, who was somewhat similar to Huo Linyuan, Lan Min felt a little bitter in his heart. She knelt down and said, "Chow chow, come on, let mom give me a hug." But the little boy slapped her directly and snorted, "You bad guy, how many times have I told you that you are not my mother, and you are not as beautiful as my mother? Do you think I don't know? That's it? You took my mother's place. If it weren't for you, my mother would definitely be here. Cha cheo, no, I am your mother." But the child was not obedient at all and continued to hit him with his hands. Although the child does not have much strength, the blow is still very painful. Lanji has been working very hard these days to have a good relationship with this child. But this child resisted her in various ways. The toys she bought were smashed and the clothes she bought were torn. Coupled with the scene she saw at the Li group today, she feels really uncomfortable now. But at this moment, a gloating voice sounded from behind her, "Lanji, it doesn't feel good to be a stepmother." Lan Min came back to his senses and saw Sun Ying'er standing not far away holding a document. Sun Ying'er looked at the document. She didn't want to come at first, but her family was very forceful to let her come. If she guessed correctly, Huo Linyuan would definitely give the family a lot of benefits, but Li Baikan also didn't want to give up, so Sun Ying'er originally just wanted to be here. Just going through the motions. I didn't expect to see such a scene. Hey, you are a warning to me now. Fortunately, I did not agree to Huo Linyuan's proposal. If I had agreed to Huo Linyuan's proposal, then the life you are living now will be my life. I really want to thank you for this, Miss Sun, you. What am I not right? Lan Min took a deep breath, and then walked up to Sun Ying'er, "Miss Sun, I think we can cooperate." She felt that she could not go on like this. Lan Yu felt that if she continued, her position would be very passive. Just like this Sun Ying'er, she has been in a very passive situation since she stayed with Sunian. Lanji felt that he had to do something. Sun Ying'er was a little curious when she heard this. Lan Min lowered his voice, "Let's find a quiet place and let's talk carefully." But Sun Ying'er smiled, and the next moment, she raised her voice, "Mr. Huo, you are back, and I just happened to take the opportunity of delivering documents to congratulate you on the birth of your son. You now have a wife and children, and a good family and career. You can be said to be in great luck this year. Lan Jian turned around and saw Huo Linyuan in home clothes. He subconsciously walked towards Huo Linyuan. But Huo Linyuan ignored her and walked directly to Sun Ying'er. Master Huo, since you are here, I will put the documents you want here. God knows how much Sun Ying'er wanted to laugh when she heard that Lan Min wanted to cooperate with her. She initially agreed to Sunian's cooperation because they were in the same situation. But this Lan Min can even be said to be the initiator of the insults she has suffered over the years. Cooperation is nothing. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Zhang Word. Chapter 487. Chapter 487 Lan Zhen, when did you become so greedy? Open the file you have. Sun Ying'er opened it directly. When she saw the document, Sun Ying'er couldn't help but raised her eyebrows. So generous. As long as you marry me, I can give you half of the shares of Huo Group that I own, and there are other conditions. You can make whatever you want, Huo Linyuan said coldly. Sun Ying'er didn't expect that Huo Linyuan would be so generous. But she was not happy at all. Instead, I felt a crisis. Because this document is a condition that the Sun family cannot refuse, as long as people in the family see this document. I definitely want to send her to the Huo family as soon as possible. Lan Min next to him felt really cold at the moment. She can't even get the status of a real wife. If you really want to deal with the Li family, our Sun family can't help you much, so why are you still marrying me now? Huo Linyuan frowned. We are both engaged. As your fiancé, I am just fulfilling my promise to you and becoming a man. If I cannot even fulfill this promise, then I will be ashamed of being a man. Sun Ying'er felt more and more that things were not simple when she saw Huo Linyuan like this. Perhaps it's really the authorities who are obsessed with it, and the onlookers can't tell the truth. She had been by Sunian's side for so many days, and her thoughts were tainted with Sunian's. Does Lan Min have any opinions? She will not threaten your status. As for the child, if you don't want it, then I can send it away. My sincerity is here, so I need you to think about it carefully. Lan Min was heartbroken when she heard Huo Linyuan say in a positive tone, she will not threaten your status and directly send the child away. She didn't believe that Huo Linyuan couldn't tell that she had been exhausted mentally and physically because of the child these past few days and had mental problems, but he never said that he wanted to send the child away. But he said it to other women. And the kind that shows sincerity. You don't have to give me an answer now. You should think about it carefully. After all, this is a major matter of marriage. Sun Ying'er left immediately after hearing this. Because she felt something was wrong about this matter. She and Huo Linyuan have known each other for so many years, and she knows very well that this man will not simply give in. There must be some reason for doing this. She has to go to Sunian to discuss it carefully. After Sun Ying'er leaves, Lan Min walked up to Huo Linyuan and said, Linyuan, what about me? What do I mean in your eyes? You have my heart, isn't that enough? You have our love, isn't that enough? Why have you become so greedy, Lan? Now is the critical moment, Lan. I hope you will sensible. The reason why I fell in love with you in the first place was also because of your sensibleness. Now I hope you won't let me down. Huo Linyuan still kissed Lan Min on the face perfunctorily. Lan Min didn't expect that Huo Linyuan would give him this answer. You want to marry another woman and have a child with another woman. Do we really still have love? Lan Min took a few steps quickly and stood in front of Huo Linyuan. Unexpectedly, Huo Linyuan looked at her with disbelief. What do you mean? Do you want these? Didn't you say that all you want is my love? Why do you want these? Lan Min, when did you change? It's so greedy and unreasonable. These words really became a knife that stabbed into Lan Min's heart. Turns out that's what she really thought. But now, she seems to be wrong. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich John Word. Chapter 488. Chapter 488, Lu Jing, the Grudge, has made progress. As soon as Sun Ying came out, she saw Lu Jing again, this big wretch. I have to admit that this grievance has made progress. Wearing black sunglasses and a wig, she dressed herself up. But you can still recognize him as soon as you get closer. Are you acting like this to give the impression that you haven't left the hospital? Lu Dingding nodded. Sun Ying Sun Ying then took a deep breath. Then why do you think I can recognize you at first sight? Lu Jing's expression immediately changed. I have made such changes, and you can still recognize me. Lu Jing then quickly got into the car, but he did not forget to call Sun Ying there is no time to explain, get in the car quickly. Sun Ying reluctantly got into the car. When the car started to drive, Lu Jing began to mutter, that's not right. I asked the secretary clearly, and asked several times, and they all said they couldn't recognize me. I just came out. Why can you tell that it's me at a glance, of? Sun Ying just gave him a faint look. Just this look made Lu Jing feel more uncomfortable than directly insulting himself. Wait until I go back and deal with them properly, deduct their wages, and let these people deceive this young master. This can't be blamed on him. These three women didn't come. He was really bored to death in the hospital. So I came up with this wonderful idea. Disguise yourself and come out. But I didn't expect that Sun Ying would see through it all at once. Well, since I'm taking your car, you'll send me to Sunian's place first. After you send me there, you can go find trouble with your secretaries. These words reminded Lu Jing. He came here today just to find out the news about Sun Ying. Did you come here for something? Did Huo Linyuan force you to marry him? Tell me what kind of coercion and inducement you faced. We have dealt with this many times, and we are somewhat familiar with it. Friendship. Sun Ying did not speak. Seeing her like this, Lu Jing wanted to continue saying something. Okay, drive away quickly. You keep stopping here so much. Even if you didn't arouse others' suspicion just now, you will arouse suspicion now. Sun Ying interrupted Lu Jing's question. Hearing this, Lu Jing could only drive the car honestly. Since it was working time, Lu Jing drove the car directly to Li's group. And followed Sun Ying into Li's company. The reason why he did this was because Sun Ying's face didn't look good at all on the road. Obviously something big happened. How could something like this happen without him? Arrived at the president's office. After Sun Ying entered, she said directly to Li Baikan, who was sitting in the office, Mr. Li, Nian Nian is here. Li Baikan, she is in the lounge, what's wrong? I need to see Nian Nian for something. Is it convenient for me to go in and find her? Li Baikan saw Sun Ying's serious look and knew that she had something to do with Sunian. It's convenient, you can go in and find her. With Li Baikan's permission, Sun Ying strode directly towards the lounge. Lu Jing naturally followed. But before Lu Jing took a few steps, he heard Li Baikan's cold voice, stop. Lu Jing's back suddenly felt cold, and then he smiled, Li Baikan, I came with her. We have very important things, so don't make trouble. But when he met Li Baikan's eyes, he completely lost his courage. Li Baikan snorted coldly. It was strange that Sun Ying could speak to this guy. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich John Word. Chapter 489. Chapter 489. Things are ahead of schedule again. Sun Ying over there pushed the door open and went in. Nian Nian. This Nian Nian sound frightened Sunian. Subconsciously hid his cell phone in the pillow. Nian Nian, let me tell you, something big has happened. Sun Ying directly pulled Sunian out and looked at Sunian seriously. Speaking of things. After finishing speaking, Sun Ying suddenly realized, is he thinking that after marrying me, he can let Lan Min seduce Li Baikan, let Li Baikan indulge in her beauty, and support him unconditionally like before? Damn it, how can this guy he can be so vicious and willing to do anything to achieve his goals? I used to like this man. But Sunian did not react after hearing this, but looked thoughtful. Sun Ying suddenly became nervous when she saw Sunian's expression. After all, she had heard similar words before, so she would definitely laugh with herself. But this time it was so serious. Sister, is your family's current financial situation able to come up with a large amount of money? Sun Ying was stunned when she heard this. She shook her head. Because as a daughter, especially the daughter of such a wealthy family, she has known since she was a child that her role is to form a marriage alliance, and she has not participated much in the company's affairs. Wait a minute, I'll ask Baikan. After Sunian said this, he opened the quilt and got out of bed. Behind the open door of the lounge, she walked straight to Li Baikan. Baikan, how is the Huo family's financial situation now? Do they need a lot of money? Li Baikan frowned subconsciously when he saw her running out so recklessly. I'm a little short of money during this period. He and Lu Jing joined forces to attack many aspects. This guy Lu Jing, when he said he could get Lan Min, he was like a mad dog, regardless of the cost or consequences. Well, this chess piece is very useful. No, is that thing also advanced? Li Baikan looked at Sunian with a more serious look. Sunian turned around and said to Sun Ying sister, this can explain it. Now the Huo family lacks a large amount of funds. He promised to transfer the shares to you and then marry you, just to get a large sum of money funding. After all, it's the easiest way. I hope I'm overthinking it. In the novel, Huo Linyuan also had such a big financial crisis. In the end, he got the Sun family's heirloom from Sun Ying and sold it to tide over the crisis. This also laid the foundation for the decline of the Sun family. It seems that when this paragraph was described in the novel, Huo Linyuan said to the Sun family with great arrogance that the rule of this world is that the weak eat the strong. Such a thing did happen in my previous life, but the time was wrong. At this time, Sunian looked at Li Baikan behind him. Saw Li Baikan. She laughed. Same, she had no intention of following the development of the novel. Li Baikan had actually been paying attention to Huo Linyuan's various so-called actions. He also wanted to strangle him into the cradle as soon as he found out what Huo Linyuan wanted to do. Unexpectedly, Huo Linyuan's solution to the problem lies with the Sun family. Indeed, if Huo Linyuan drew such a big cake for our family, the people in my family will definitely be moved. Now we can only see how big the number Huo Linyuan needs. Sunian was not sure, that matter was advanced. You can only give it a try. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 490. Chapter 490 Sunian's rejoicing. But the eyes of Lu Jing next to him lit up. If Sun Ying really married Huo Linyuan, wouldn't he be able to pick up the pieces? Hey, it's really heartbreaking to torture the one you love. You can't abuse me now. Just when Sun Ying was thinking about how to get her family to refuse this cake, she saw Lu Jing smiling like a rat in the gutter stealing something. Sun Ying said directly, "Why are you laughing? What should I do? Forget about you, are you going to be a traitor?" Sunian also looked at these words. "I am going, why is this guy here? This licking dog is also here, what if our plan is leaked?" "Sister, kill someone and silence them," Sunian suggested directly. Sun Ying-er nodded seriously. Lu Jing. Aunt, I'm your niece, but, I'm your nephew, don't be like this, I really didn't hear anything, really, I swear. Lu Jing was not afraid of these two women, but afraid of Li Baikan next to him. Li Baikan's serious look made the back of his neck feel tight. I will never tell a whistleblower, and if there is any whistleblower, you didn't say anything confidential just now. Lu Jing felt a little scared, and then said directly, and Huo Linyuan's shortage of funds is basically my fault. It can even be said that it was entirely my handiwork. If I was telling the truth at this time, wouldn't I just be the one who hurt myself in the foot? Sun Ying-er thinks it makes sense. But Sunian didn't believe it. After all, this guy can lick better than Li Baikan before. Who knows that this guy won't shoot himself in the foot? Well, even if Lu Jing snitches, nothing will happen. Do you think Huo Linyuan will still believe this guy now? Sunian and Sun Ying-er looked at Lu Jing deeply and nodded seriously. Lu Jing. Sunian then brought Sun Ying-er to the room to discuss it. It took a long time for Sun Ying-er to leave. Lu Jing naturally followed Sun Ying-er and walked away. Sunian sighed deeply after Sun Ying-er and the others left. Seeing Sunian like this, Li Baikan thought she was worried about the future, so he walked towards Sunian and wanted to say something to comfort her. But before the words of comfort could be uttered, Sunian heard Sunian's heartbeat and was immediately petrified. I was really scared to death just now. When my sister came in, I happened to be reading a pornographic book. Fortunately, I hid it quickly, otherwise I would have been discovered. Li Baikan. If I were discovered, then my image of being wise and powerful would be over. Fortunately, I hid quickly. Just when Sunian finished sighing, he turned around and saw Li Baikan's petrified appearance, and asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Li Baikan, "It's okay, I was just wondering if Lu Jing was talking nonsense, and what impact it would have on us if Lu Jing was talking nonsense. My sister and I didn't say much outside just now. Even if Lu Jing was talking nonsense, it wouldn't have much impact. Moreover, I think what you just said is right. Huo Linyuan may not trust him now. After all, the current situation of the Huo family is also worse than Lu Jing's. Jing's handiwork, I don't believe Huo Linyuan can't even find this." While Sunian was making a good analysis, Li Baikan helplessly held his forehead. Sigh, he really doesn't know what to do. After all, there was only a wall between him and this little woman, and he felt that he had to find a chance to ask Sun Ying-er properly, and try to find some way out of the fate of leaving the father and leaving the son. End of this chapter.